What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about 5 things that you should be doing early on in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. You can call it like a beginner's-like thing, but this is overall going to just help you out through a couple different ways that we'll discuss as this video goes on, but it might be, getting newer items or just kind of understanding the game better. These things will help with that, okay? So first thing I want to talk about is Chadley, okay? The boy is back, and honestly, what I would recommend, and the first thing on this list, do the training as quickly and as early as you can. And when I say the training, so the virtual reality like things, now here's the deal. It's probably best, and if you want to skip some of them, it's not that big of a deal. Doing the ones that are the tutorials for each characters are very good. Now, I did that after I'd already played as each of the characters in the open world, so I knew how they all acted. I didn't need to see the literal tutorial of how Cloud operates, how Tifa operates. Now, you might, and that might be helpful, but the main reason to do this is the materia you get. So early on, you don't have much. It's not really worth buying it, I would say, at vendors. Honestly, it's not. The best way of getting these materia early in the game is just by completing this. You can kind of rack up the whole thing. Fire, ice, lightning, you can get a lot of them just by doing very simple 3-round kind of fights. They're very easy. You should easily be able to get through it, and then you'll get extra materia that you can then add on to these characters, in like the gear select and all that. So I think this is just a very easy way of doing it. Saves you some money so you don't have to spend gil, right, to get it. And you can do this almost like right away. Not immediately, but as soon as the world starts to open, Chadley's right there and you can get going. Okay, second thing that I recommend, and I actually didn't do this, so that's why I'm recommending it to other people. Get to the Chocobo areas immediately when you get to these regions. And I say that because I spent the first little while just going on foot. Now, in the very beginning of the open world, right, when you're in like the grasslands, you are going to have to walk. The first couple minutes, dozens of minutes, you'll have to walk. As soon as you get the opportunity to do the Chocobo stuff, you do it, I would say, right away. Don't go off. Because I get distracted. I go off and do the side missions or just the random, kind of things that are going on in the world. But here's the thing. Doing the Chocobos makes things and makes life so much easier. You'll see as the world opens up, as you get to other regions, and it's the same thing pretty much for every region, at least early on. You get to a region, find the Chocobo, camp or ranch or whatever you want to call it, do whatever is required, and then that way you'll be able to explore the rest of the land much, much easier and faster because they run extremely quick. Okay, and with that comes the side activities. So look, a blanket statement would be to do everything. Here's the deal. I really don't think you have to do everything, and there is a bit of repetition there, and that might, put some people off. I would say do as much as you feel like it or as much as you can. Couple reasons, though. Like, why would you do that? Well, couple things. Leveling up is actually not really one of them. You level up very slowly by going around and doing these. They don't give you all that much. There's a couple higher level like enemies or like the side missions, the like official side missions. They'll give you more rewards versus the random, fiend encounter. But the number one reason I found to do all of this stuff is fast travel points. So what you're going to realize is because the game is so big and, you have to find the bench, right, to restock your health and your abilities, right? So you need to find that. That's where you can also buy stuff from like the vending machine and, upgrade your weapons. They're not everywhere. So what you tend to do is you tend to go out in the world, do a couple things, but then you end up getting low on health and you're like, well, I kind of want to continue going forward, but I got to fast travel to a bench. So you fast travel to the ranch, you fast travel to here or there to rest up. Well, by doing the side missions, all of them, any of these side activities, whether it's like a Chocobo hunt looking for treasure or whether it's a fiend attack or whatever it is, they all open up fast travel points for you. Now, there's also the Chocobo like stations where you pick up the sign throughout the world. That's important to do. That just gives you an extra one, right? But just by doing these randomly, placed side events, if you do it, they end up becoming fast travel points for you as soon as you're done with them. So that just makes getting around easier because, again, the map is huge and you're not going to always want to go through the same area, 20 times to get to a different place. But if you have different fast travel points, you can kind of jump there and go from there. So that's the main reason. Again, there are other reasons, whether it's learning about the land or, the world that you're in. There is one, like I mentioned, the Chocobo. Whenever there's those ones, which is where you kind of find the scent and you have to find like 2 or 3 treasures per area. That is the one that side event is, in my opinion, the best one, because that one will actually give you new items to craft, and that becomes very, very helpful. So they all have their own like mini reason, but that one, I think very important, very good. The towers, I think, it's like Assassin's Creed. It's like many other games. Whenever there's any kind of activation thing, it'll ping and it'll show you the other things in that area, right? So I would say that one is very important to do. The Chocobo ones are very important to do. The rest of them, yeah, you can pick and choose, right? But the more you do, I'd say the better it is. It raises your party level, your kind of group level, which makes everybody stronger. So there are reasons to do everything, but if you wanted to kind of pick and choose, those are what I would do. Okay, fourth thing, and this is more fighting and more of like the party itself, experiment with the different groups. So what I mean by that is very early on, it's going to tell you, make your parties. So you got 3 different parties that you can do, party 1, 2, and 3, and you can swap them on the fly, when you're just walking around the open world. And when I say experiment, I truly mean it. Just mess around and see who kind of works well together. Now, I think the materia you put on them is going to kind of change it, right? So it might be a little bit different for everybody. But look, different people have their different strengths. Cloud is a bit more of like a tank character. Barrett is kind of a tank character, but he's range, right? Aerith is range, but she's not a tank character, right? So when you know which each of these characters kind of are meant to do, just kind of mess around with them. The teams that I have found to do really well is Aerith and Tifa. That's kind of one of my go-tos, just because you get some close-up, you get some range with Aerith, you get some healing from Aerith, and also I've made Cloud kind of that too. But I also find that like Barrett, you could kind of put Barrett with anybody. Barrett with Aerith, Barrett with Tifa. Red 13, I think is kind of picky. Like you got to be careful who you're putting him with, but I think just the more you play it and just fight random enemies, right? Like in the world, just kind of figure out which combination works. There might be some like aerial enemies. Whenever there's an aerial enemy, Barrett has to be with me, right? So I immediately change into him. Sometimes I'll also have Aerith with him, or sometimes again it'll be like Barrett and Tifa. But you just kind of figure that stuff out as you're going through. But I would experiment, because some characters put together, again, especially how you put in their materia and how they operate, they might not work as well together as other characters would. And the final tip I would say, and this is something I forget about, but then I do like 10 of these things all at once, is using the item transmuter. So this is the thing this is your crafting, ability. So you can do this on the fly anywhere, right? This comes with you. So this is actually another reason why it's important to do as much as you can, because you're going to get a lot of materials. If you're exploring the world, you're picking up things constantly, right? And then you turn around and you're the one crafting potions. You're the one crafting just the different items that you can put on the characters, right? It's actually, what I have found early, it's best you do it. It's best you craft it, then you buy it. Now, there's like the deals. I'll always spend money on the deals at vendors, right, where it's the yellow. It's in yellow fonts, because those things are discounted, and they're much cheaper. You can kind of stock up on it. You can get Phoenix Downs from that and whatnot. So you can buy stuff, and I recommend buying stuff here and there. But overall, to waste money on potions when eventually you can just craft your own and craft quite a few of them, considering you pick up so many materials, and eventually you'll be able to do enhanced, like gear for your characters. And really, I have just found, just by naturally picking stuff up and then doing the transmuter maybe like every hour, you can level it up, you can craft tons of new things, and you can make yourself more powerful and give yourself potions and whatnot by yourself. You don't have to rely on buying it from vendors. So it is something I forget about. I'll go around, I'll do like 6-7 things, and I'll say, oh man, I haven't crafted anything since, before those 6-7 things. Then I go in, craft like 10 things, use up all my materials, and then restart. But I think it's a very cool system, and it focuses more on you. It focuses more on what you find in the world versus you having to spend all your money on, random like ethers or Phoenix Downs or potions or whatever. So that's overall better. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.